Fantasy season is here. The NFL has begun, and it is time, everybody. The Fantasy Couriers are proud to be partnered with Underdog Fantasy, the most amazing, greatest daily fantasy sports site. You might have done all their best ball games during the offseason. I have friends that did dozens and dozens and dozens and are still talking about them. Now we're in season, and it is time for Pick'em. You can pick player stats. You can pick highs or lows of various stats within a game. It is an exciting time. You can stack them. There are specials throughout the season that will make the game even more exciting. And to make things better, Underdog Fantasy has an exclusive offer for new customers. Claim your mystery pickup and get a 100% deposit match up to $100 now by signing up on Underdog using the code COURIERS. Once you make that first deposit, head to the Pick'em lobby and find out which player special you get. If you're already a customer, share the code COURIERS to support our amazing podcast so that we can continue to grow with Underdog and have a blast in season with you. Now, on to the show.
What is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dub. And with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Oh, JJ Wang, fantasy football, the blessing and the curse, the happiness, the sadness, the destruction, and especially when you have too many teams. It's been an up and down day.
It's a lot of teams. I mean, I feel like I was in more this year than I was last year, which I was trying to get away from. I was trying to do less, end up in more. But like I was telling you earlier, I didn't get to watch a lot of the games today. It's fun to have football back. I was going in and out of my phone, like checking the stats. Some decent stats, but overall, I think kind of a down first week. What do you think?
There were a few exceptions, but yeah, there were a lot of, which gives me hope because my best
Can
team.
only go up from here.
You rolled my freaking best team, and I'm sure you're going to highlight some of those guys as we go through. So I don't want to steal too much thunder, but I think we do need to have a moment of silence just to start the week for the career that could have been for J.K. Dobbins. I think it's safe to say the amazing talent that we saw at Ohio State, unfortunately, with an Achilles, that's 2 years. This year off, next year maybe at half speed. But what could have been? That's what he's going to be known as, right?
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of running backs of what could have been, but definitely with Dobbins, we expected big things to him coming in. He's tore his ACL. I mean, now his Achilles. He was trying to get paid too, so definitely doesn't bode well for J.K. Dobbins. It's unfortunate.
So, question for you right now: if you had to guess, who's going to be the newest Baltimore Raven next week? Is it going to be Kareem Hunt? Is it going to be Leonard Fournette?
I'd probably go. I don't either. It doesn't really matter. I don't know.
Imagine if they give up two first and they walk away with Jonathan Taylor.
I'd probably go Leonard Fournette before I would go Kareem Hunt, but I wouldn't be really too excited about either one.
Yeah. If I was the Ravens, I would go and say, okay, I'm going through so that Jonathan Taylor, I'm going for him. So but yeah, so I'm not going to steal too much thunder. We could talk forever here. I mean, I could tell you that my heart is beating. Just so audience knows, our recording schedule is based upon our kids, which is our number one priority. We love Courier Nation, but it's based upon our kids. So we are recording Sunday nights because our kids have stuff all week, all day, Mondays, and all crazy things. That'll come out Monday morning. And our second show, we're sorry this year, it is going to record earlier than usual. We're going to record it and have it ready for Thursday morning. So sometime Wednesday nights we'll have it. So I'll put a thing if you have questions and you want us to ask. I'll pop a thing up Tuesday night into Wednesday so we can answer early questions, but I am going to try to do like a Sunday Q&A thing. My schedule's changed on Sundays because we have early church now, so I can be home, and I was super excited to maybe do a little Q&A on Facebook Live as we're getting through that. But that's a schedule. We'll have Monday pop-outs, Thursday pop-outs, and over the weekend, just listen to people that get paid to do this. That's all I got for you guys. We love you, but you can always ask us questions. I have a couple people that they hit me up on the regular, usually like once a week, like, hey, what do you think of this? And I'll be like, hey, good luck. Hopefully I got it right for you. So let's get into the games, JJ Wang. Do we have any fancy name for this year yet?
No,
we're working on it.
Just going to think with pleasure and pain. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, you're either happy or you're sad. There's no really in between here. So we'll start out with the pleasure. We're going with the quarterbacks here. First, I want to bring up Jordan Love. You know, 245 and 3 touchdowns. I mean, I feel like this is probably the biggest. I know you want me to talk about your guy first, but
Jordan Love,
he's not
I was looking at
he's
that and
not
shocked.
really the most important at the moment. But Jordan Love, nobody really expected too much out of him playing against the Bears. You know, not great, but Jordan Love, 245 and 3. Did he look as good as the numbers were?
I tell you what, we will find out next week. He was playing the Bears, and the Bears basically have what, two good players, three good players in total. Justin Fields, we know, is a stud. I mean, he somehow manages to stay alive in there. Khalil Herbert, I think, is a decent running back. DJ Moore, but the Bears are not a great team. So we'll find out really as the
Yeah,
season goes on. What a start!
let's talk about
What a
Jordan
start!
Love, not the
But
Bears.
the thing is, I could throw for 300 yards against a terrible team, but then when he
No,
gets up
you
against a team
can't.
that's good, no. But you know what I mean. So as far as I'm concerned, this is once again Green Bay, one of the top three run organizations in the history of football. Did they do it again? This is what they do. They did it with all three of the
All
last
right.
two quarterbacks.
Speaking of this is what they do. Let's jump over to San Francisco, and all San Francisco does is
Yeah.
have average quarterbacks look really good. We got Brock Purdy continuing what he did last year, 220 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, Brock Purdy might be the real deal.
Yeah, I was starting to doubt that he was the real deal. Like I was as pukey as it made me feel, almost on the Sam Darnold train there for a while, thinking that he was going to take over. Thinking there's no way Purdy can come back, but man, Purdy, all props to the mighty king in San Francisco. That's all
Yeah,
I can say. I
absolutely.
mean, it's
All right,
stellar.
let's go over here to your guy here. We have a 455 yards
Woo!
and 2 touchdowns, Tua Tagovailoa. Look good. Started off a little rough, a little
Yeah.
shaky. Came on strong at the end. They pulled the game back. Came back from behind. I was able to catch the very end of that game. That was all the football I got to watch. But yeah, 455 and 3 touchdowns. Looking great. Good start to the season.
Oh my goodness. You should I had to go get water before the show. I was yelling and screaming like this game made my fantasy just kick in the butts that I've gotten all day from you, and I almost lost to your niece. It's close because of some knucklehead things for me. Like I set two in that league actually. I've got too many leagues is what I've learned this year because I had three things that I didn't do. I didn't even submit a lineup for one but Tua, that offense is what I've been touting all season. I look less and less like a homer every time I watch it. If he gets rid of a couple of those, just like they're just quick mental gaffes, like that he dropped a there was a snap that he dropped the two fumbles early. This could have been bigger,
Yeah. All right.
lot bigger.
I got a couple honorable mentions here. You pick one, whichever one you want to talk about. I got Anthony Richardson, looked decent, 223 yards, a touchdown. Also had the rushing touchdown. Baker Mayfield looked actually okay, 173 and 2. Russell Wilson looked okay, 177 and 2. And then Mac Jones looked really, really good, 288 and 3. Pick one of those guys and let me know something about him.
I mean, I could talk about Baker forever, but I'm just going to issue my standard apology. Anthony Richardson, he looks like an NFL quarterback. I had no love for the dude. I think the Jaguars are a really good team. But he came out. He looked confident he was my red zone channel and I was scanning stuff as I was watching all the games. But watching him play, he looked confident, and I have a feeling we're going to talk about his receiver, which just I didn't see that coming. Like I was doubting Indianapolis 100%. Deion Jackson's dead to me, but that's beside the point. Let's move on. But yeah,
All
all
right.
three of those guys surprised me. I did pick up Mac Jones in a soon-to-be Superflex league this week.
Nice, nice. All right, switching over to running back. First running back I'm going to bring up is Aaron Jones. 41 rushing yards, got a lot of receiving yards, 86 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones just does what Aaron Jones does, right?
He does. He pulled a hammy towards the end. I'm not sure what came out of that. So
Okay.
hopefully it doesn't go forward. But Aaron, yeah, I was quietly high on Aaron Jones because I've hated rooting for, like, I don't know. He's been that player. There's those players that for no reason you just have no desire to ever have. That was Aaron Jones for me. He's done nothing but prove me wrong. And this year I was starting to inch him up. I was moving him up every time I do my rankings, move up just a smidge. And as with Jordan Love, we'll see if Aaron Jones, well, healthy. Hopefully he's healthy. We'll see what happens with this Packers team with the old man when they play someone who's not the Bears.
Yeah, and I think my new favorite running back, Tyler Algier here, coming up big for the Atlanta Falcons. Number one running back down there in Atlanta. We had
Ah,
75 rushing yards, 19 receiving yards, and the 2 touchdowns. Looks fantastic. So is he the RB1 there in Atlanta?
ah, I've
But
got,
I will say Bijan did have a decent game as well.
they both. That's the thing about it. Like the passing game was so terrible when Drake London has zero fantasy
Right.
points.
Well,
Yeah,
wait, just
but
stick to the running back, dude. Stick to the running
they're
back.
gonna run and they're gonna run, and I think this is gonna really frustrate people because you're not gonna get this from both of them every week. People are gonna get cute and try to start Algier next week. I would roster him. I don't know if I would start him next week. I'm not sure off the top. I don't have the next week's schedule. I'll talk about that Thursday, but
But I think they're going to run the ball a lot.
yeah, because they can't do anything else.
Yeah. All right.
It was the Panthers once again. It was the Panthers like it was the Bears.
All right. Going down to Jacksonville, guy was kind of wrong on Travis Etienne. Tank Bixby did have the touchdown, but didn't look great. He had the fumble as well. Etienne 77 rushing yards. They had the 27 receiving yards. Like to see a little more there, and the touchdown. Definitely the RB1 there in Jacksonville. How did he look? Okay.
He and when I was scanning back and forth throughout all the channels, they said he was looking strong in the backfield as he took control of that. I was the one. You were more on the Tank side. I was on the ETNs, their RB1, and I think if this team's going to roll, it's going to be T Law, ETN, and somebody else who I'm sure you're going to mention later.
Well, I didn't say Etienne wouldn't be the RB1. I said he wouldn't have as much work.
He will be. How about I could say him closer to a RB1? How about that?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a little. That's a little
Hash
bad,
out.
yeah. All right, and then I guess it's the surprise game of the day. Kyron Williams, 52 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not pretty sure. No, this helped literally probably zero. So that's. I mean, Cam Akers probably not what we thought, right?
This is the same situation though as Cam Akers still had 22 touches. He had 15. So apparently the Rams are going to run the ball, and then I want to talk about him later, hopefully. And then Puka the ball down the field. So we will see what happens with that team. But they ran, I mean, they still ran. So it could have just been game script, how he got lucky there. But yeah, they're both could get the ball. It's not going to be the Cam Akers field I thought it was.
All right, we'll switch over to running backs here. I got a few, or wide receivers. Got a few extra wide receivers. First one, go to Tyreek Hill to go along with Tua. He had 211 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, just throw the ball deep and he'll just run underneath of it. I mean, that
Dude's
one
not human.
bomb that I've seen at the end, pretty much all it is.
He was getting short running around the guys. He was getting longer. Like the dude when Tyreek started playing, I knew he was good. And then I watched him his last couple years in Kansas City, and then he's just become even better. I didn't think that could happen as you get older, but just it's not fair. You watch him play, it's just not fair. Like it helps that it's my team and I can finally root for him and not the Chiefs. So that was always a bonus. But he looked spectacular.
All right, go back to San Francisco, and my boy Brandon Ayuk definitely looks like the wide receiver one to me there in San Francisco. 129 yards and 2 touchdowns. If this is what I don't want, well, this is what I expect from Brandon Ayuk. Maybe everybody else would start jumping on board, but I think this is what we start seeing more of out of the San Francisco offense with Brandon Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey being the centerpieces of that offense.
You started to get me on that job. Ayuk burnt me 2 years ago, and I've been mad at him ever since. And last year I said nothing to do with him. And this offseason, you're starting to talk me into him, and now I don't have a choice. So just hitch my little Red Rider on the back of the wagon. I'll be pulled along, rooting for him to go through as long as he lets CMC get some touches for me.
Oh, I'm pretty sure CMC will
Looks so good too. CMC looks so good too.
Don't have to worry about that. All right, we're going to Las Vegas here. I'm going to go with Jacoby Myers. Yeah, 74 yards, 2 touchdowns. Is he the wide receiver one in Las Vegas over Devontae Adams?
No. But I do have to say, I don't know if you might not have gotten this on your scan there. He got clocked. Like Tua scary laying there. He was just laying there, just holding the football in the field. Like I was worried for him, and it scanned out. And my brother-in-law, who's a big Raiders fan, said he did get up and walk off the field. So he might not be playing next week. It's not sure, but they were targeting Devontae still in the game, which is Denver has a good defense, so they're gonna blanket the better receiver. So you're gonna let Jacoby Myers still. I mean, he'll be a top 35 receiver.
But I still believe for the Las Vegas, it's going to unless they're getting 2 touchdowns every game, they're only going to be getting 75 receiving yards because of their quarterback situation.
But
So unless they,
that's a top 35 receiver.
well, if he's getting 2 touchdowns every week, yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think
but I don't see Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers both getting 2 touchdowns every week and
no.
just sticking with that 70 yards a week. It's going to be tough because I don't see that offense being very good. This one kind of surprised me here. Going back to Indianapolis with Michael Pittman, 97 yards in the long touchdown. I was super. I'm glad to see it. I love to see it. Like you said, Anthony Richardson looked better than what you thought he was going to. So maybe Pittman will turn out to be a better player this year than we thought.
We are big Pittman fans last year. This year we've been quiet about him because rookie quarterbacks usually murder receivers because he sort of poo-pooed the bed last year with terrible quarterback play, and then this year with a rookie who was going to run all the time. But I hope that Pittman keeps going because I don't have any Pittman shares, which makes me sad. But I'm rooting for the dude because he was a guy that he was a Courier's favorite. Him, and we're recording this before the Bills game. If Gabe Davis has a season, all of our old guys, it would just be spectacular to see. But
Absolutely. And then what last guy that I'm kind of growing on that you've been on for a while? That's Calvin Ridley coming out hot, 101 yards and a touchdown. Offense looked good. Jacksonville, I think, could be on their way here. Definitely potential there if this is how it's going to be. How was Calvin Ridley in the game?
he looks so strong, so good. Like he was the Calvin Ridley we saw. How many years ago was that? When I had him going the year before, I had him being the wide receiver one with my bold prediction. That guy who just killed it. I think that was right before Julio left. That when he was second, he was a boy then, getting a lot of yards. He looks like the man in that on that team. T Law has confidence in him, and I mean he's making everybody else look good to the point that Zay Jones looks good. Like Zay, if you want to look up a good look a good video, watch the Zay Jones touchdown catch, diving one handed behind. It's one of the best plays I saw all day. It's the highlight on ESPN. So if you're on ESPN's league, it says Zay Jones makes an incredible catch in the end zone. It's beautiful. Look up that this weekend.
That's right. And then I got one quick shout out, Rashid Shaheed. I mean,
Yes,
evidently
yes.
this guy might be a real problem for all these quarterbacks in the NFL. It might be a definite pleasure for fantasy owners, right?
Oh, he should be my guy. If Tua wasn't so good, I might have had to put because I got Shaheed on almost every basketball team. He might be close to being the most owned guy that's not on the Dolphins on my teams. Him and Isaiah Hodgins, but he looks good. And it's funny, I always get confused because his number is 22. So these new number things drive me nuts. I'm like, who's oh, it's Shaheed. But with that, the Saints passing game looks really good. So it depends upon they rat on Carr and.
Yeah, maybe Carr is better than what he played in Las Vegas last year with that terrible coaching staff down there. So,
Oh, Josh McDaniels is terrible. I've said that forever.
all right, so that was the pleasures. I mean, that's what makes you feel good about fantasy. Now
Ooh, I'm feeling so good. At
let's
two.
go over here to let's take that negative aspect that none of us like, but we all got to deal with. And
No.
I think the number one pain here out of all is Joe Burrow and his 82 yards passing. What do you think?
What's painful about that? I don't like Joe Burrow. I have no Joe Burrow. I root against Joe Burrow. Yeah, it was
Well,
terrible.
maybe you, but unfortunately, we don't
For the
talk about
rest,
just you.
I'm the
It's
only person important.
everybody else.
Yeah, that I was laughing the entire time, going. So this is what you get for the highest paid contract. Like the thing is, I was talking. I have a friend at work, and she's from Joe Burrow's high school, and always talks to Joe Burrow. And I said, the problem we're going to run into with this contract, Brady was so good for so long because his contract was cheap. Burrow's doing this with all his receivers. Imagine when T's not there next year. Like the Browns aren't that good, are they? But
I mean,
it was
probably
raining.
not. I mean,
It was raining.
like
Balls were wet. I'll give him a
I'm
week,
not.
Mulligan.
I'm not really too worried about Joe
It was
Burrow, but I
it
mean,
was really wet and
yeah,
rainy.
this was terrible. And another bad one was let's Lamar Jackson, 169 passing yards. I think he went like 38 rushing. Not really what we're expecting here. And the interception. Did Baltimore look bad?
They the score is 25-9, but I really think it looked a lot closer than that. Like the Texans didn't look terrible. I mean, they're supposed to be bad. They're going to win what 5, 6 games. CJ Stroud looked confident. Lamar Jackson just looked frazzled. Like he's maybe he didn't pick up the new system that's been brought in. That's supposed to be more passing, but yeah, he didn't look Lamar Jacksonish for sake of another verb that I can't think of. But the Texans they're going to be built as a defensive team. I think because of the coach. D'Amico is a good defensive guy. I think they're going to build that way with a strong quarterback. So they could be giving people fits that we don't know are coming. But yeah, he
All
looks
right.
bad.
All right. Two of my favorite guys got Kenny Pickett, Justin Fields. Neither one of them helped any fantasy owners today. Pickett more looking like the early Pickett from the beginning of last year. And Justin Fields, while his passing was a little more efficient, we just didn't get those big rushing numbers that we were expecting. Pickett and the Steelers got blown out by the 49ers. Now, the 49ers are really good. They got a super good defense. They will win the Super Bowl this year. But did Pickett, Pickett and Fields, did they just look that bad?
The, I would go with Fields being worse than Pickett because I just think the 49ers are that good. But yeah, the Steelers just looked terrible. They looked like we thought they're that annoying team that always is good somehow. And I still think Kenny Pickett's he still had 232 yards versus a great defense, and it was 2 interceptions. That's not terrible. Fields more efficient, but the Packers have a good defense too. But like I don't know. I didn't think Justin Fields might have fallen sort of last year before he became really good within that where I thought Anthony Richardson would be, that it's going to come back to nip him in the butt. But speaking of the 49ers, if they go to the Super Bowl versus the Dolphins, my house would have revolt. That's my brother's favorite team. So anyway, that's a side note. But yeah, this is the hardest week to talk about it because week one is always
You
an
just don't
outlier.
know.
There's
Yeah, you
one
just
guy,
don't.
there's a waiver wire darling, Justice Hill this year, but otherwise it's just a giant outlier. Next week's going to get back to normal, and all those bad teams that were good are going to be bad, and so forth. Like your team's going to lose next week.
Oh, probably. My teams always lose. All right, switching over to running back, Najee Harris. I thought Najee Harris would be better than this, but I guess what everybody was saying was true. But again, they had to end up passing the ball a lot because they did fall behind. But 31 yards rushing, not looking good for Najee Harris.
He had six. The only positive out of that is he had 6 carries. The real concern for the team was Jalen Warren. He had 3 carries. And that's a totally fine. That's, he had 60% of the carries because Kenny Pickett had 1. So that's more. I think it's more of a 49ers than it is that they just had game scripted out. That, yeah, Warren was what everybody's worried about for this year. Next year, I think we got a lot more to worry about. So we'll see. But yeah, it was.
All right. I'm gonna go back to Houston here. I'm gonna stick with Damian Pierce. Only the
Oh, come on,
38
man.
yards, only the 38 yards rushing. I think this is going to be a lot of the same for Houston and Damian Pierce all year. The offense is not going to be good. CJ Stroud, looked okay, but nobody's really worried about the passing. They're just going to stack boxes. And as of right now, I do think Tank Bigsby has more fantasy points than Damian Pierce.
He scored a touchdown. That's like saying, well,
Hey, it doesn't
you do
matter.
know that you do know that like that random tight end that Blake Bell has more touchdowns too. But yeah, but if CJ Stroud keeps putting up almost 250 yards, it might help him. But yeah, that's once it could fall. But maybe the Ravens have a good run defense again. That defense. We always think they're good, but we never know because we don't spend hours studying defense for our show because we don't play many defensive leagues. I got an IDP guy going for the Giants. I don't even know his name. That's how little I know about defense. They had to pronounce his name for me in my draft. But yeah, that one worries me. He did only get 10 touches, so I guess the game was just slow. I didn't watch that was one of the games I sort of scoured back and forth, not as much.
I probably wouldn't have watched a lot of that one either.
Ugh.
All right. I'm gonna go to the Eagles running back situation that we have here. Rashad Penny doesn't even play.
He's the best guy they got.
DeAndre Swift has like 3 carries for like 0 yards or something stupid. Gainwell is for the best out of the bunch. Can we just throw all those in the trash?
I think if your team is bad, you get out the dice and you roll every week, and you hope you roll that 7 because Gainwell's getting the touches. If I had to own one, that's who I'd probably own. I owned Swift, and I dropped Gainwell by pushing the wrong button on the league and lost him. But I think the RB1 on that team is Jalen Hurts. But this week, one thing I've learned is I think they need that 4th preseason game back. It makes me want to puke. because
Or
no.
maybe they just need to play in the preseason.
Oh yeah, just do three, and they got to play 2 out of 3 games to be. Yeah,
Yeah, I
'cause
mean,
they're so
because
sloppy. There was so much
it doesn't.
basketball.
I mean, whether they had that fourth preseason game or not,
Yeah, good point.
if the starters aren't going to play, that really makes no difference that extra game. So I mean, the starters aren't going to play either way.
They used
All
to
right.
play. They look sloppy. Everybody like the Patriots are
Well, yeah.
not
I mean,
good. They're not good.
they used to play preseason, but they don't. Nobody wants to play in the preseason. So no matter
Oh
how
yeah,
many preseason games you have, the starters still aren't going to play.
yeah. But
Switching over to
yes,
Switching
just
over to wide receiver, I think the biggest disappointment, Drake London plays
oh
90% of all the snaps, one target, no catches. That passing offense must have looked dreadful.
can I ask you real quick, just so I can give a point here? Are you going to highlight any tight ends in this segment?
I was not planning on it because they
Okay, let me tell
all
you. I'll
are
put
terrible.
highlight. I had Drake London and Chig on a team. They got as many points as Travis Kelsey. That's how bad. This is one of my really, really good teams. And Drake London and Chig both got zippity doo dah. Like Drake London, I'll get Chig because he's got Tannehill. Drake London has Ritter, who's not a great quarterback, but he's such a good player. I was listening to a podcast this week and talking about London. We're going to have to suffer through London till he gets a quarterback because with receivers, you chase the talent. He's so talented that those of us that have him in Dynasty might just be suffering for a couple years. If you got him in a redraft and you got somebody like me who loves Drake London, I wouldn't blame you for flipping him in any redraft league for what you can get because
Whatever you get, yeah.
they're going to run 45 times as we see. And I mean, they're not like at halftime, I believe, did him and Pitts both have 0 targets? Or did they each have 1 target? It was something gross. Like it was terrible. Like, and that was against the Panthers.
All right, I'm gonna
worried.
go back to Cincinnati with Jamar Chase, our top wide receiver. But again, when Joe Burrow's only throwing for 82 yards, you probably got Jamar Chase somewhere, right? So you by sense you almost gotta like Joe Burrow because if Joe Burrow doesn't play good, then Jamar Chase not playing good. So you kind of got to be rooting for Joe Burrow, even though you don't want to be, right?
Well, in my world, Joe Burrow has to throw for 100 yards and 1 touchdown. That's all he's got to do, and give it all to Jamar. Jamar Chase, the popular gimme bet on DraftKings that everybody did, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson to get 50 yards each. You bet $10, you make 20. That didn't work out. Like
That
he
didn't
looked,
happen at all.
yeah. The Bengals just looked bad. Like Joe Mixon didn't have. He looked the best of all the crappy Bengals, and he didn't do anything extraordinary. But he looked like a football player versus the rest of the guys. They were playing D3 basketball. Like it looked terrible. It was bad.
And then pretty
Very bad.
much the same as always, DJ Moore, just the same old, right? 2 for 25, expected a little bit more. But like I said, the offense didn't play that great. But even then, I still expected more from both Justin Fields and DJ Moore. But maybe this is what just DJ Moore is, right?
I think that's been the train I've been on for a couple of years. I have zero, none, not a DJ Moore for the first years ago. I got like 4 DJ Moores because he was there and he was a value, but I won't even take the value on DJ Moore because his quarterback is an excellent runner, athlete, and a so-so passer.
And like you brought up earlier, I don't plan on bringing up any tight ends this week. They were all bad.
And
I don't
hurt,
think
like holy cow, Mark Andrews out, Travis Kelsey out.
I think Hunter Henry was the tight end one. If you wanted to bring up a tight end, feel free. If not, it's on you.
I'm a zag. If someone's looking for us just watching the game, it's a homer pick. But if you are in dire straits, I am because I have so many chigs. Durham Smythe was actually targeted a lot by Tua, and he was their only tight end in the game. The rookie they didn't pay. I think that's some putts. Maybe it's Tyler Croft or someone coming off there. But if you're looking for some waivers, there's some guys sitting around. He might be good. Hunter Henry looks like he got it. So yeah, the waiver you're going to be streaming tight ends, especially when the 2 best tight ends in the league don't play. And I mean, we're recording this before Waller, who could go off for us, or I mean, the rookie plays tomorrow. So, but yeah, or today, or whenever you listen to it. But yeah, so Waller could make us look like fools and be great. But yeah, tight ends. But here's the segment everybody's been waiting for. We know we have.
Surefire waste of a touchdown.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, this week, the week was so bad, not even bad guys scored touchdowns. That was more of my surprise as I was putting together surefire waste of a touchdowns because some really aren't. I just sort of stretched for it. I mentioned it earlier. We are looking at Thursday Night Football, opening game of the year. We're excited. Lions, Chiefs, Travis Kelce. Oh, he's not playing. 4-yard touchdown pass to the tight end. It's Noah Gray. Everybody's got, huh? Do you know how close I was to putting Blake Bell in my DFS lineup? But I didn't. So that's a 4-yard touchdown pass and a definite.
Surefire waste of a touchdown. Never even heard of this guy. I do know all the Noah Gray fans are probably a little upset.
Oh man, yeah, Blake Bell was like $500 on DraftKings. I'm like, oh, I need him to fill in. Oh, it'd been spectacular.
And the offensive depth on the Kansas City Chiefs is not good.
I did say my bandwagon team looks really good, and Sam Laporta looks really. I like his future. Anyway, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Baltimore did not look stellar. They scored 25 points, and they had 2 rushing touchdowns. So we know that they all had to occur before J.K. pulled his Achilles. No, and they were 2-yard runs. So those are nice pounding runs. That's got to be Gus Bus for no. It's the guy that we've all dropped by now. We thought would be good. We have a 2-yard run. And another 2-yard run for Justice Hill, the power back who's not much bigger than me. Those are 2.
Surefire waste of a touchdown. Yeah, I mean, we all like Justice Hill. We've all dropped him. We've all picked him back up, and we've all dropped him again. And guess what? We're all picking him right back up again this week.
Yes, he's got to be the number 1 waiver. Like, there's gonna be hundreds of dollars of fab dropped from that guy. So we're gonna go to Atlanta. We'll do this one quick because it's only it's because you have him. I got a caveat here. The chances of people having Tyler Algier are probably high. The chances of anybody whose team is not as bad as yours is that needs to play him on an 11 starting roster are very, very low. So Tyler Algier had a 3-yard run, another 3-yard run, which we thought would be Bijan, and then probably just get Bijan some more. But no. So for everybody in the world not named JJ Wang, who was playing DJ Dove in this matchup, those are 2, and I'll say it for you, surefire wastes of a touchdowns, unless you're JJ Wang.
Not waste at all.
No, they wasted my chances. They wasted my team this week. Holy moly! And I had 2 overall. I lost Kelsey. I lost anyway. Let's go to we mentioned it earlier. We're going to the Los Angeles Rams. In a name I forgot. I want to be excited about is Puka Nacua. I've been touting him all the time. He killed it. We'll see if he's the real deal. But a 1-yard touchdown run. It's gonna be Cam Akers getting the first one. No, Cam got one later, but Kyron Williams with a touchdown run. And another touchdown run? I forgot to write down how long the other one was, but we'll give him 2, right?
Yeah.
I'm doubting myself here. Those are 2, probably.
Surefire waste of a touchdown. Yeah, nobody was starting this guy. I mean, he was liked coming out of college last year.
We loved him last year.
This is going to be another guy that's picked a lot up off the waiver wire because he's getting touches, and that offense isn't good. So
yeah, we'll if you're watching NFL Network this week, I'm going to gamble that my Dolphins game is going to be on there at least 3 times as like the game of the week because it was a shootout. The Chargers look awesome. Like that team is going to be good. They're running better. Your boy Austin Eckler looks stellar. Like they look really, really good. Our defenses, I think, are better than they showed there. The offenses for those 2 teams are just so good, and the Chargers are very balanced. So they had a 2-yard rushing touchdown. So that was another touchdown for Joshua Kelly, 2-yard touchdown run. Helped the Chargers, but for everybody else,
surefire waste of a touchdown. But I mean, if Josh Kelly's going to be playing like this, I might be starting next week in my league.
He looks powerful too. Like I think this is the week I finally drop Isaiah Spiller.
I think maybe this could be it.
Kelly looks really good. Like he was like that line might be what last year I saw about the Eagles line being so good. That Chargers line is last year's Eagles line. So good line. And last but not least, for the mighty Miami Dolphins, we have a 1-yard touchdown pass from Tua to his favorite receiver, Tyreek. No. Ooh, straight from practice squad city. I thought he was cut, to be honest, and he's had a great game. River Craycraft with a 1-yard touchdown pass for the Dolphins. Almost had 2. That's, other than for us losers who root for the Dolphins, is definitely a
surefire waste of a touchdown. Did Jalen Waddle even play?
He did. He had what we expected a wide receiver 2 to have in a game. It wasn't As always, I got too many screens. I was going to tell you, but he still had a decent game as far
Yeah,
as
it was. I seen his numbers.
it wasn't Waddle numbers. It was he still had 78 yards on 4 catches, and he still looked quick. So they got a good stable. Braxton Berrios could be their Wes Welker, that's for sure. So, but yeah, JJ Wang, week 1 in the books. As everybody knows, we recorded before Monday and Sunday Night Football. So I hope you enjoyed those games, and nothing totally changed the atmosphere of the world. Give us some wisdom as we look towards the waiver wire. We look towards week 2, and hopefully better or worse things happening to our opponents.
Not much wisdom with just football back. It's fun. Just make sure that you're paying attention to the waiver wire. I mean, not necessarily you don't. Even if you're playing Fab, you don't want to spend all your money on Fab. But if you don't spend your Fab money, it doesn't roll over. So I mean, you've got to use it on somebody. There's no point in keeping all of it. So waiver priorities, if you still do that kind of thing, which kind of sucks. But yeah, pay attention to the waivers and get some of these guys that are going to be helpful in your starting lineup. So as always, trust yourself and trust the process.